Every day you wait, someone else moves. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is waking up earlier than you. Someone is studying while you scroll. Someone is practicing while you hesitate. And someone who started with less than you has already decided they will not stop. This isn't about pressure. It's about truth. Time doesn't pause for potential. It rewards action. You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow has become your favorite lie. Think about it. How many ideas have you buried under later? How many chances have slipped away because you weren't ready or thought you weren't ready? But here's the reality no one wants to accept. You will never feel 100% ready. The perfect moment you're waiting for, it doesn't exist. There will always be fear. There will always be doubt. There will always be reasons not to start. And while you sit there trying to eliminate every uncertainty, someone else is learning as they go. They're messy. They're imperfect. But they're moving. And movement beats perfection every single time. You see, success isn't owned by the most talented. It's owned by the most consistent. The ones who show up when they don't feel like it. The ones who take action even when it's uncomfortable. Because they understand something most people ignore. Delay is expensive. Every day you delay, you're not just standing still, you're falling behind. Because life is not a single-player game. There are millions of people chasing similar goals, competing for the same opportunities, fighting for the same attention. And while you're waiting to feel confident, they're building confidence through action. Let that sink in. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes because of action. You don't become confident by thinking about it. You become confident by doing it. Badly at first, awkwardly at first, but doing it anyway. That's where growth lives. And here's something even deeper. Your future is being decided by what you do today, not what you plan to do tomorrow. Right now, your habits are writing your story. If you keep choosing comfort over discipline, distraction over focus, delay over execution, then you're not just postponing success, you're training yourself to miss it. And that's dangerous. Because the longer you delay, the harder it becomes to start. Not because the task gets bigger, but because your belief in yourself gets smaller. You begin to doubt. You begin to question. You begin to tell yourself, maybe this isn't for me. But it's not that it's not for you. It's that you haven't given yourself a chance. You haven't stepped into the arena. You haven't tested your limits. You've only imagined failure without ever actually trying. And imagination is powerful. But when it's filled with fear, it becomes a prison. Break out of that. Because the people you admire, the ones winning right now, they're not special. They just started. They didn't wait for motivation. They didn't wait for approval. They didn't wait for everything to make sense. They moved, and every step they took, even the wrong ones, taught them something. Meanwhile, every step you don't take teaches you nothing. That's the difference. Action creates clarity. Delay creates confusion. So if you feel stuck, it's not because you don't know what to do. It's because you're not doing anything. You're overthinking, overanalyzing, overpreparing. But let me tell you something real. You can plan for months and still fail. Or you can start today and figure it out along the way. Which one actually moves your life forward? Exactly. Now imagine this. 6 months from now, where do you want to be? Stronger? Smarter? More successful? More confident? That version of you is not built in the future. It's built in the decisions you make today. And if today looks like procrastination, then your future will look like regret. But if today looks like action, even small action, then your future starts to shift. Because small steps, repeated daily, create massive results. You don't need to do everything today. You just need to do something. One step, one effort, one decision that says, I refuse to stay the same. Because here's the truth most people ignore. Your competition isn't sleeping. They're evolving. They're improving. They're pushing through the same fears you're avoiding. And they're not waiting for permission. So why are you? Why are you acting like time is unlimited? Why are you treating your goals like they'll wait forever? They won't. Opportunities have an expiration date. Energy has an expiration date. Even motivation has an expiration date. But discipline? Discipline is what keeps you going when everything else fades. And discipline is built by doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. That's the edge. That's what separates winners from everyone else. Not luck, not talent, not background, but the ability to act consistently without excuses. So today, ask yourself one honest question. What am I delaying that I know I should start? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because every day you delay, someone else is getting closer. Someone else is taking your spot. Someone else is becoming what you could have been. And one day, if you're not careful, you'll look back and realize it wasn't that you couldn't do it. It's that you didn't start. And that regret is heavier than failure will ever be. So move. Start before you feel ready. Start before it makes sense. Start before the fear disappears. Because fear doesn't disappear, you outgrow it. And you only outgrow it by facing it. So take the first step, right now, not perfectly, not confidently, but willingly, because that one step could change everything. You don't lose in one moment. You lose in small, silent decisions repeated daily. It's not the big mistakes that destroy your future. It's the little delays, the skipped effort, the "I'll do it later" mindset that slowly eats away at your potential. Because while you're delaying, life is still moving. And here's the part most people don't realize. Your competition isn't always someone else. Sometimes it's the version of you that could have existed if you had just been consistent. Think about that. There's a stronger you, a more focused you, a more successful, confident, disciplined version of you, waiting on the other side of your actions. But every day you delay, you move further away from becoming that person. You're not just missing opportunities. You're missing your own evolution. And that's a loss most people never recover from. Because time doesn't just pass, it compounds. If you waste one day, it feels small. Waste a week, it starts to hurt. Waste months, now you're behind. Waste years, now you're looking at someone else living the life you once imagined for yourself. That's how serious this is. And still, people treat time like it's guaranteed. You wake up, scroll your phone, tell yourself you'll start soon, and before you know it, the day is gone. Nothing changed. Nothing improved. Nothing moved forward. But here's what did happen. Someone else trained harder. Someone else learned more. Someone else got one step closer to their goal. That's the gap. And the scary part? The gap doesn't feel big at first. It grows quietly, day by day, choice by choice, until one day it's too wide to ignore. You look around and wonder how everyone else got so far ahead. But deep down, you already know the answer. They didn't wait. You did. And waiting feels safe. Waiting feels comfortable. Because when you delay, you don't risk failure. You don't risk embarrassment. You don't risk being judged. But you know what else you don't risk? Growth, success, transformation. You can't win a game you refuse to play. And right now, too many people are sitting on the sidelines of their own lives, watching others win, cheering from a distance, wishing things were different without ever making a different choice. But wishing doesn't change your life. Action does. And action is uncomfortable. It forces you to confront your weaknesses. It exposes your lack of discipline. It shows you where you need to improve. And that's exactly why most people avoid it. Because it's easier to stay where you are than to face who you need to become. But easy has a cost. And that cost is your future. Every easy choice you make today creates a harder life tomorrow, while every hard choice you make today creates an easier life later. So the question is simple. Which pain are you choosing? The pain of discipline or the pain of regret? Because you will experience one of them. There's no escape from that. And regret is heavy. It shows up years later. Quietly, when you see someone your age doing what you once dreamed of, when you realize you had the same 24 hours, but made different decisions, when you understand that it wasn't lack of opportunity, it was lack of action, that realization hits hard. But right now, you still have control. Right now, you can still decide to move. And it doesn't require something massive. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need everything figured out. You just need to stop making excuses. Because let's be honest, you know what you need to do. You've known for a long time. You just haven't committed to doing it consistently. That's the gap. Not knowledge, execution. And execution is what separates ideas from results. Everyone has ideas. Everyone has dreams. But only a few people are willing to put in the work, daily, relentlessly, without needing constant motivation, because they understand something powerful. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. So when you don't feel like working, they still work. When you don't feel like starting, they already started. When you're thinking about it, they're doing it. That's why they're ahead. Not because they're better, but because they're consistent. And consistency is built in moments like this. Moments where you have a choice. Do I stay comfortable or do I grow? Do I delay or do I act? Do I stay the same or do I become more? Every day, you answer these questions with your actions, not your intentions, not your thoughts, your actions. And those answers shape your life. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're tired of watching others move ahead, if you're tired of knowing you're capable of more, but not seeing results, then something has to change. Not tomorrow, now, because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to break the cycle. Delay creates habits, and habits create identity. If you keep delaying, you start to see yourself as someone who doesn't follow through, someone who starts but doesn't finish, someone who talks but doesn't act. And once that identity sets in, it's hard to break, but not impossible, because identity can change the moment your actions change. So start proving something to yourself, not to the world, not to other people, to yourself. Show yourself that you can be disciplined. Show yourself that you can follow through. Show yourself that you can do the hard things, even when you don't feel like it. That's how confidence is built. That's how winners are made. Not overnight, but over time, through consistent action, through daily effort, through refusing to delay, even when it's tempting. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about competing with others. It's about not betraying your own potential. It's about becoming the person you said you would be. And that journey, it starts the moment you stop waiting. There's a moment in life that most people never talk about. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. No one announces it, but it changes everything. It's the moment when you realize no one is coming to save you. No perfect opportunity. No perfect timing. No sudden burst of motivation that fixes your life overnight. Just you, your decisions, your habits, your discipline. And for some people, that realization becomes power. For others, it becomes fear. Because once you understand that your life is in your hands, you lose the ability to blame anything else. You can't blame your past forever. You can't blame your environment forever. You can't blame lack of resources forever. At some point, it becomes your responsibility. And responsibility is heavy because it forces you to confront the truth. If your life isn't where you want it to be, something in your actions needs to change. Not your intentions, not your plans, your actions. That's where most people get stuck. They think about change. They talk about change. They even get excited about change, but they don't commit to change. And commitment is what separates interest from transformation. You can be interested in success and still stay exactly where you are. But when you're committed, you move differently. You think differently. You act differently. Because now there's no backup plan. No, I'll try. No, let's see what happens. It becomes, I will make this happen, no matter how long it takes, no matter how uncomfortable it gets. And that mindset, that's where everything shifts. Because once you commit, delay becomes unacceptable. Excuses become weak, and your standards rise. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop saying, I'll do it later, because you understand something deeper now. Later is the enemy. Later is where dreams go to die. Later is where potential gets buried. Later is the comfort zone, disguised as patience. But patience is not the same as procrastination. Patience is working consistently, while results take time. Procrastination is avoiding the work and pretending you'll do it someday. And someday is a dangerous word, because it gives you permission to delay without guilt. I'll start someday. I'll change someday. I'll take it seriously someday. But someday turns into next week. Next week turns into next month. Next month turns into next year. And suddenly, years are gone. Opportunities are gone. And that version of you that could have been great, gone. That's the cost of delay. And it's not always obvious in the moment. That's what makes it dangerous. Because while you're delaying, nothing feels wrong. You're comfortable. You're relaxed. You're telling yourself there's still time. But time is being used whether you use it wisely or not. Every hour is an investment. You either invest it into growth or you waste it in comfort. There is no neutral. So when you sit there scrolling for hours, when you avoid starting because it feels hard, when you choose distractions over discipline, you're making a decision to stay the same. And staying the same in a world where everyone else is improving is actually falling behind. That's the reality. The world is moving fast, faster than ever. Information, opportunities, competition, it's all accelerating. And the people who win, they're not the ones who wait for perfect conditions. They're the ones who adapt quickly. They take action fast. They fail fast. They learn fast. And they keep going. While others are still thinking, they're already improving. That's the gap. Speed of execution. Not reckless action, but decisive action. Because hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever will. Failure teaches you. Hesitation traps you. Failure moves you forward. Hesitation keeps you stuck. So if you're afraid to fail, understand this. You should be more afraid of not trying, because failure is temporary. But regret lasts. Regret follows you. It shows up in quiet moments. When you're alone with your thoughts. When you realize you had the chance but didn't take it. When you see someone else living the life you once imagined and you know deep down, that could have been you. That's the pain you can't ignore. And the worst part? It was avoidable. All it took was starting. Just starting. Not perfectly. Not confidently. But starting. Because once you start, everything changes. You gain clarity. You build momentum. You begin to see what works and what doesn't. And slowly you become better, stronger, more capable. But none of that happens if you stay stuck in delay. So break the pattern. Right now, not tomorrow, not after one more video, not after you feel ready. Now, take control of your time. Take control of your habits. Take control of your actions. Because this is your life. And every day you delay, you're giving that life away, piece by piece, opportunity by opportunity, moment by moment, until one day there's nothing left to give. Don't let it get to that point. Decide today that you're done waiting, done hesitating, done watching others win while you stand still, because you're capable of more. But capability means nothing without action. So prove it, not with words, not with plans, with action. Relentless, consistent, uncomfortable action. That's how you close the gap. That's how you take back control. That's how you stop watching others win and start becoming someone who wins. One day it will hit you. Not today, not tomorrow, but one day you'll wake up, look at your life, and realize time is no longer on your side the way it used to be. The excuses you once made will sound empty. The delays that once felt harmless will feel heavy. Because you'll see it clearly. You had time. You had chances. You had opportunities. But you didn't act. That realization, it doesn't come with noise. It comes with silence. A quiet understanding that you could have done more, been more, achieved more. And that silence is loud. It echoes with what ifs. What if you had started earlier? What if you had been more consistent? What if you had pushed through the discomfort instead of avoiding it? But by then, those questions don't change anything, because time only moves in one direction, forward. That's why this moment, right now, is so powerful, because you're still in control. You're still in the part of your story where things can change, where decisions matter, where action can rewrite everything, but only if you use it. Because here's the truth. Your life is not defined by your potential. It's defined by what you do with it. You can have big dreams, big goals, big ideas, but if your actions don't match them, they remain nothing more than thoughts. And thoughts don't build success. Action does. Daily action, consistent action, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. That's where your future is built, not in big, dramatic moments, but in small, repeated decisions. The decision to wake up and start. The decision to stay focused. the decision to keep going when it gets difficult. Those moments may not feel powerful at the time, but they are, because they separate the people who wish from the people who win. And right now, you have a choice. You can keep delaying. Keep telling yourself there's more time. Keep choosing comfort over growth. Or you can decide that enough is enough, that you're done waiting, that you're done watching others move ahead while you stand still. Because let's be real, the life you want is not far away. It's just on the other side of the work you've been avoiding, the discipline you've been resisting, the action you've been delaying. That's it. There's no secret, no shortcut, no magic moment where everything suddenly becomes easy. Just work. Focused, consistent, intentional work. And the sooner you accept that, the faster your life changes. Because once you stop looking for easy, you become stronger. Once you stop waiting for motivation, you become disciplined. Once you stop delaying, you become unstoppable. That's the shift. And it starts with one decision. To act. Not later. Now. Right here. Right after this moment ends. Do something that moves you forward. Something small, but real. Because small actions, repeated daily, create massive change. And those small actions, they're available to you every single day. You don't need more time. You need more urgency. You don't need more ideas. You need more execution. Because every day you delay, someone else is building what you dream about. Someone else is becoming who you want to be. Someone else is taking the opportunities you're waiting for. And one day, if you don't change, you'll be forced to watch them live a life that could have been yours. Not because they were better, but because they acted. So don't let that be your story. Don't let your life become a collection of missed chances and delayed decisions. Make it a story of action, of growth, of discipline, of showing up even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's where the difference is made. That's where winners are built. So start right now, before doubt comes back, before fear talks you out of it, before comfort pulls you in again. Start, because the moment you move, you stop being the person who delays, and you become the person who wins.